Drink. Hello. Here we are again on a Wednesday. Aesthetic Impacts, just casual group discussions of our remote viewing session. And we have a good group. And I think 5 sessions turned in, 5 or 6. So I'm going to switch to my desktop. And a little strobe effect there as always. And I will warn you that for some reason my webcam has been going in and out, and I don't know why. Maybe it's time I bought a new mic. Not sure, and a headset. Maybe it's getting plugged in and stuff all the time is a problem. So, don't know. But anyhow, Lynn's with us. So we'll be getting some comments from Lynn Buchanan. And we'll start with our feedback. And I think I'll move to the sessions for the folks who are awake from across the way, in case they'd like to catch a little sleep before their day tomorrow. Here is our target. It's Lynn has lived in Japan, so I should probably let him pronounce the location in Toyama, Hokuriku, Japan.
Hokuriku.
There you go, boss. Huh?
It's Hokuriku.
There you go.
Yeah.
So what is, can you say the Yuki no Otani?
Yuki no Otani? Yeah. No shows that it's an adjective.
Uh-huh.
And
I'll take care of Alexander this time.
okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Yuki no means made of snow. Otani is wall.
Okay. Sorry.
The whole time we were in Japan, we wanted to go up every winter and see this because there is a town up there where the snow gets up over the rooftops, and
wow.
They actually get they actually dig tunnels in the snow to get from house to house and so forth.
Wow.
So, like if this were in town, you'd see little holes going off to the side to people's homes.
Well, there is a little bit of text with this target. It says, on this alpine route, and it is a location in Japan, huge walls of snow tower over a 1,640-foot sightseeing path. The area sees an average of 23 feet of snow each year, and when the snow is cleared from the road, resultant snowdrifts create walls 60 feet high. But the snow walls aren't unique to Japan. Paths carved through tens of feet of snow create snow walls around the world, from Austria to Colorado. So if anybody jumped target, I could see why, but let's hope not. At left, cars pass through the snow walls. And that's it as far as our text. I should be able to see if I can smush that into 2 pages. So that is our target. So you have a fair amount of gestalts. You've got lots of snow, which would be water, and a vehicle with motion. So there's man-made as well as whatever man-made the folks are carrying. And you can also use your zoom feature, just for those of you who aren't accustomed to doing that. If you really think you got something, I'm looking for this thing where the zoom feature is on this particular word thing. Let me see. I bet it's, yep, there we go. If you folks aren't used to doing this and you are positive you got something, I could use the WebEx one too. You can always zoom in on your target to check something out a little more closely. There you go. And so you've got some numbers and dimensionals, and there are markers there that are marking off the pathway, and probably a rope of some kind or chain.
Where we lived in Japan, they had at the beginning of every winter, they put these red and white striped poles all along the road that were 10 feet high, stuck 10 feet up above the road, and had one stripe every whatever division of a meter, it was 10, I think, 4 meters high. Anyway, it was 10 feet high, and like it changed color every foot. And by late winter, you would drive along and you would see these tiny red stobs sticking out above the road, and you were actually driving on 10 feet of ice and snow.
Oh, gee. Just pointing out, too, there are some folks up here on the top of the snow, way up high on the left. There are at least 2 people up there, maybe 3. So if for some reason somebody thinks that they got that, like a skiing motion or whatever, I would say. So let's pull up a session or 2 here and take a look. See if I can relocate this a little bit. Cover everybody up. All right. Let's go with Richie just because he's over there and awake. We've got 7 pages, and then, oops, I have got to find Richie's summary because it's separate. We'll do that. He did do front loading, which is very generic. The target is the target. Describe the target. No advanced visuals. Setting aside his previous targets. And Richie's operational. So got lots of gestalts moving through P2. And his AI, the target's in front of me. He has a sketch here with lots of labeling and perception saying what is going on at each area of his sketch. I like the people lined up. And things are brown, high, distant. Granted, I haven't gotten to the summary yet, so it's whether or not he kept these. But he's spot on with deep and isolated and cool. Distant and maze-like. He's getting dimensionals really right and left. Of course, he's sketching, so he's already had his AI. But he's going to start. I skimmed this a little bit ago. Got lots of multiple colors, he says. Richie, if you want to jump in here and comment anytime, just go ahead. And you got a dizzy-like motion, a rush motion, white, open, and windy. And something's gray and white and rough. He's conducting an interview in the SI column. Somebody at the target site says they feel very small there, and there's buzzing energy he's picking up on. Joyous occasion, intertwined, looks like harmonious. Sense of all-inclusiveness. Lots of humans. And reminding him of Machu Picchu. I can't say that. Machu Picchu. And sense of wonder, look up and all around. I would be if I was there. And serene. Circular and a spiral energy. Okay, and it's pulsing. He got high to low, and then he wrote circular and spiral, and did a sketch, and then went back on to pull pulsing and energy from that. And he has a sense of being in a special area with high natural energy. While I look for your summary, if you guys want to jump in and have comments or whatever, or not.
I was just wondering if the circular is those guys up on the hill making snowballs to roll down on everybody.
Could be.
Looked like that's what they were doing.
I would normally have, there we go, my whole summary. Alrighty then. This is from his email. Target has elements of land, biological, natural, and motion. Land is yellow, open, bright, clear, green, dark, white, human, multiple, distant, high, steep, isolated, cool, down, rough, and multiple colors, gray, levels, and multiple came after levels, and quiet. The bios are green, blue, green, white, motion, human, multiple, calm sense of small buzzing, energy intertwined, harmonious sense of all-inclusiveness, human, biological, experimentation, surrounded, working from heart, relaxed, centered, center awareness, looking, quiet, observing, sense of beauty, sense of awe, sense of wonder, look up and all around, high to low, pulsing, spiral, energy, and serene. The natural has or is yellow, open, bright, clear, green, blue, motion, white, distant, haze, light, isolated, cool, down, rough, color, multiple, motion, drop, like windy, calm, beauty, big, vast, draws you in, solid like pattern, design, rectangular, box-like, circular, and silvery. The motion has energy, pulsing, windy, spiral, and circular. Nice session. Where are we at here with Richie? Did we lose him? He's not here. I've got everybody but. Well, the man of the hour. Lynn, anything you'd like to add?
I was I was impressed by the fact that he got the quietness of it. With bus and that many people and all that, you wouldn't think it was quiet, but you know, snow is called the blind man's blindness because it absorbs sound so well.
I hadn't heard that before. The blind man's blindness.
Yeah, you haven't heard that before. I thought Yankees would know something about that.
No, can't say that I do.
Huh. We have the school for the blind here, so yeah, when it snows, the snow absorbs any sounds, and like if they're walking along with their cane, they tap and there's no echo, and the tapping is depending more on the echo than it is on the tap.
I see. Well, I always love it when it snows and it's really hushed outside and you can just hear the crunch of the car tires and that's about it. I like Courier and Ives. But hey, Marco, glad you made it. Well, darn, no Richie. And I thought he had a great session and really good to show everybody how he interviews sort of in the SI column. So maybe he'll pop back in.
That was neat with that. I feel so small here.
I agree. All right, let's see. Here's Adeline. By the way, Miss Aveline is officially a CRV student of mine. So she is viewing, and she did great. Taught herself and had good structure, but she's learning the theory and some nuances. So Aveline, she said, let's see, who is typing only? I think it is she. Yeah, she's just typing tonight, she says.
The neat thing about CRV is there are nuances to the nuances to the nuances.
So she's learning all kinds of things like how to do the set asides and advanced visuals, and boy, I tell you, look at this pristine handwriting. Ah, yeah. A stray cat of an animal. Wow. She's converted. She's assimilated. Nice job.
It really is. That's an amazing adherence to structure. That is really good.
Yeah, she had a good handle on it before. She would, draw her sketches and then, have them in a little square, and they'd be numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, and what she got at each spot. Man, I told her I was a little nervous. I didn't want to hurt what she was already able to do and teach herself naturally. Okay, where's her AI here?
On that sketch number 2, have you shown her how you can go around and get details off of the sketch at different points?
We only just had our little get-togethers to review manuals and stuff, I think, last week.
Oh, very good.
So why don't you go ahead and...
Overall impressions from the sketch, I didn't know if you'd shown her that you can get very highly detailed impressions.
Go ahead. I mean, that's what she's already strong in on her own. So go ahead and roll with that, okay? That'd be great.
Oh, now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
We're informal here.
If you feel around the sketch, one of the things you have to realize is that a phase 3 sketch is an ideogram. And just like you could get feelings off the ideogram, you can get feelings off the sketch. Only now you're not limited to the lines. Like you can go up in the sky and feel, you can go into the empty spaces and feel and all that. And you like go up to any place on here and you feel something, you mark it as, let's say, a 1. Then you come down into your list of descriptors and you put a 1 and you tell what you felt at that certain place.
Actually, Lynn, that's what she's strong in. The article I published in 8 Martinis, if you can see where my cursor is right here, this is her work. And that's exactly what she does. She comes down underneath it and she just she draws in a square, and then she does number 1 and she puts what she gets, and then number 2.
Good.
So she's very strong in that already. So I'm thinking she's going to tear this up.
Yeah, I like the way she got an igloo for all the snow.
There's Richie. He's back. Hey, Richie. Glad to see you again. I'm so sorry. Hopefully I didn't do anything that kicked you out accidentally. How many mics do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have all the mics in use. So we'll swap out here in a minute. So anyway, sketch 1, she's getting an igloo. And sense of survival. And here's her, here, Lynn, she's got, if I'd have just kept moving this cursor, here's her sketch 3 with her 1, 2, 3, 4 in it.
Oh, that's neat. A lot of people don't realize that you can do even phase 4 work in phase 3 just by tapping all over that ideogram. You get, you get specific details and details and details, which is what stage 4 is about.
This is great. The man-made is curved, arched, pointed. We had a couple of pointy things. Nope, it's not going to turn out to be the bus. Arched and hollow. I thought maybe she was going to be picking up on that bus before it was all over with.
Yeah, this is a good example of how an AOL can set in and build castles. Once it was, once the image or the impression of this igloo type thing, that took over. Now it's given her all of the information about the target, but it's still trying to put it, the subconscious tries to put it into a setting that the conscious mind will agree with to get the conscious mind to write it down. And so this is how the castles start building. And yet, one of the things that that an analyst will look at a castle that's being built and see that target information is the majority of what's in the description of the castle being built. So this is good. This is normal remote viewer. This is normal good remote viewer type work.
Move inside the target and describe this in sketch 4. And AI is cozy in here, warm. She's got a yurt. Straight out of a yurt. How many people know about yurt?
That sketch on the top of the previous page looks more like a yurt than an igloo.
Let's get over here and see if she's... So she thinks she missed the first sketch or two and possibly built that up. Although you get a lot of people traveling on a bus, it might smell like a yurt. Did I say that? Not that I've smelled a yurt firsthand. I've only heard you talk of it. Let's see. Warm, smoky, bright, condensed piles, clustered, rising, enclosed, cloth-like, soft, cushion-like, bulky, encircling, deep red, arched, opening, and low. It's pointed, funnel-like, and smoky. Stray cat of an igloo with polar bears outside. Stray cat of Eskimos. And here's her summary. Like an outside location where there are elements of land, man-made, biological. Overall colors blue, white, brown, silver, gray with reflective elements. Whimpering, crying, and windy sounds are heard along here with echoing, and the overall temperature is cold and icy. There are smoky, oily, fishy, and fresh air smells in the air. The target is bright overall. Land which is horizontal, it feels vast and hard, smooth, glassy, and fragile to the touch. Parts of it are scattered, hard, curved, and encased stony and chalky. Man-made appears to be small, hard, curved structure that is hollow and pointed at the top. The man-made structure has a low arched opening at the front. Structure's surface is solid, cold, and slippery. Surface texture is both smooth and dimpled. Overall colors are white, brown, silver, gray with reflective element, and man-made is in medium contrast to its surroundings. I tell you, the unit would want this woman. The structures taste stony and chalky. Inside the man-made, there's a smoky smell, and the temperature is warm. The heat is condensed and seems to be rising from where something is piled and clustered up to a funnel-like object at the top of the man-made structure. Encircling this area are bulky, cushion-like objects that are deep red and consist of soft, cloth-like material. Bios are a pair of the same species. They are related. One's young and curled up, others old and protective. Moving and whimpering and crying can be heard. They are white, brown, cream, and orange-ish in color and covered in something that feels soft and fur-like. They are warm, big, and strong, and there's an oily, fishy smell around them. Other things I found of interest are Rocky, all AOL stray cats, Rocky, pointed, church, sound of thud, etched, and opal, all in quotation marks. AI curious, it feels nice and interesting here. Survival, snow, a yurt, and an igloo with polar bears outside, and Eskimos.
Boy, has every government in the world got a job waiting for her.
Yeah. How many gold stars do we think we ought to give her?
Quite a few.
She's smiling in the texting. This would be your high five. I can pull up a picture of M&Ms if you want. I think you deserve that. There you go. In honor of, and to celebrate Ingo, there are your M&Ms. And you can have as many as you like. I won't slide just one across the table at you. Anything you'd like to say, ma'am? You're welcome. Nice job. And Richie, I'm sorry you're coming and going. We've looked at your work. We're gonna look at your session next, okay? And Aveline, since you're not using your mic, I'm gonna give it to Richie. So, because we only have 7 mics.
I will add something here.
Anyway.
You're on page 8.
Yeah.
Rocky texture, pointed shape, church, I'm supposing church ambiance, thud sound, etched pattern, opal appearance or something like that. And rocky, pointed, thud, etched, those are good descriptors. Church and opal is in quotes, showing that it's basically a phase 7. But church is a noun, and so on something like that, in your summary, because viewers, analysts want descriptors, it would be good to put the category to make it a descriptor, like church-like ambiance or something like that.
Looking to see where she got that. Did that come in her summary, or is that in her perception?
It may have come in the summary.
Yeah.
You can put stuff in the summary that you don't have in the session, you know.
Yeah. I told her she could. I'm wondering if she did. Spot her that she's still viewing. She's been listening to us for long enough. It probably sank in that we think you're still viewing during your summary.
That's right, you are, yeah.
And I am not finding that church word anyplace else.
No, I didn't see it anywhere either.
Yeah.
But on something like that, instead of just putting the noun, it's a good idea to put the emotional or the tactile or the perceptive word that it's going to change it into a descriptor rather than a noun. Even the word snow down there You can have snow cold, snow colored, snow texture, whatever, and that is actually a better signal to the analyst to tell them what you were perceiving.
All right, I can't find church anywhere else, so I think that came.
It probably came in, and you know she had had it as a stray cat, but I mean this is perfect. And like yurt, okay, you could put yurt shaped or yurtish, yurt-like purpose or something like that. Whatever it was you perceived rather than a noun. So you perceived a shape.
Hey, Lynn.
Like a yurt.
Look at this, and I'm not saying that's what she did. There's no opening, obviously, but look at this shape right here.
Oh, yeah. And that's the shape, you know. A little bit square top than that, and you would have exact yurt shape, yeah.
Well, I'm glad that we found your session, man.
Good session.
Not to put you on the spot, but I don't know. Would you mind if we shared this maybe on Facebook with some folks? That would be a bad thing? Or you can email me and tell me yes or no. It's a pretty darn good session. I'll minimize it for the moment. And I keep trying to make Richie a panelist so that he can have a mic, and I don't know if I'm messing him up or what. Thank you, and no, you don't mind, of course. All right, you're on. I think they'll like to see it. You're welcome. You've taught yourself a lot. I'm just trying to give you a few pointers that you will develop on your own, I have a feeling. Okay, let's see here. Richie is not here, darn it. All right, let's, Michelle, I've got your session with and without my comments on it. Which one do you want me to pull up? Because I have them both here.
I don't have a preference. I really don't.
Okay.
Do the one with your comments.
I'd like to have one with a cover over it.
Me too, because I'm not sure what my comments are on Lynn's here. So, yeah. Like, oh, Lord, and I taught that girl. All right. Let's see what we've got here. 16 pages. That's pretty good. We're practicing your set-aside mantra, because we're working on your descriptors being listed first. This from the girl who could hardly sit still for 3 pages. And moving this IAB sequence over to the right, because it is a conscious mind activity. Lots of gestalts. This from the girl who used to get 1. Had a fear of gestalts. Lord, you thought they were going to eat her. And here we go. Left side for subconscious mind activity, right side for conscious. Moved into phase 2, good job. And she gets these little physical sensations. I said for the analyst, it'd be kind of nice if she explained what she has going on there. And then she's got some straight cats, and it's starting to drop down because for you folks, we reviewed getting some space in between awareness of thirst, so I know which perception that came in after.
Yeah, can you go back to that?
Yeah.
And let me ask a question. It says parched. and then awareness of thirst.
Mhm.
Was that an awareness of thirst at the site, or an awareness of thirst on your part?
It was, Lynn, usually before I get started on a session, I make sure that like all my body needs are met. I usually do a lot of stretching and drink water, and I get very comfortable. So by the time I start, I've been having like a lot of strong physical sensations right when I get started, and so I'm kind of like, I'm realizing to just kind of learn to chart them. But I know that from you and Teresa that I'm not I'm not being specific enough. But when I wrote the word parched, I was like, all of a sudden my mouth was like so dry, like I was so thirsty. All of a sudden.
Okay. So this was thirst on your part. I mean, you weren't perceiving that people at the site were thirsty. You were perceiving that you were thirsty.
No, I'm having a problem with this.
Yeah.
I'm having a problem with this. I'm having a problem with different things that my shoulders do or that my hands suddenly do, and yeah.
One of the reasons I'm asking about this is one of those little nuances.
Okay.
That if you learn right now, when you get something like that, to just sort of stop and ask yourself, is that my feeling, or is it a feeling I'm picking up from the site?
Mm-hmm.
What's going to happen is it will sort of build a little protection between you and the site.
Mm-hmm. When
you get out into the operational world, some of these sites can be pretty horrific.
Yes.
And from the very start, you want to be able to build protection for yourself. So when you get something like this, awareness of thirst,
mm-hmm.
you would sort of stop, and you'll do this automatically later. But right now, while learning, two hands while learning, you would stop and you would say, okay, am I really thirsty? And if the answer is no, then you would say, okay, is this a perception of thirst caused by the site, which means thirst is a part of the site? And if you decide yes, then go ahead and put thirst over on the left-hand side.
Okay.
And what this will do is it will train you into a habit of protecting yourself.
Okay.
Because you really don't want to get sucked into some of these sites. Even the nice sites, sometimes you don't want to get sucked into them. And if you start identifying to where it affects you personally, it's somewhere down the road, it'll come back and hit you pretty hard.
Mm-hmm.
So don't feel, any qualms at all about just stopping the session and analyzing this stuff. Hey, I drank a lot of water. Okay, I'm not thirsty, and yet
Right.
I'm feeling thirst.
Mm-hmm.
I have found out something about the site, and this will train your subconscious mind
Mm-hmm.
to not hit you with the perception, but rather tell you about the perception.
That's good.
That's going to be some protection that you'll need.
That's good. Thank you.
That's very good, because you've been doing this since day one. And I thought you were probably experiencing stuff from somebody else at the site, which you are going to learn about next week when you start intermediate.
Good.
Woo!
Like when you get into medical applications and healing, you don't want to get sick.
And granular. How many folks think that snow might be granular? Way to go. And crunchy.
I like that I was aware that my foot was slipping, but I told you I really felt that this was a very messy session for me, and I knew I could feel that I was castle building, but I couldn't stop it, and I was just like, okay, just get through this. But now tonight, and looking at it, yes, I'm a little embarrassed about a lot of what happens later, but I wish you wouldn't show. But I am looking, I know, but I'm looking at some of the perceptions with new eyes, and I'm kind of happy.
There you should be. Way to go.
Yeah.
One thing that I would, if I were analyst on this, I would wonder if you have already had your AI and now then you're interacting with the site. It's under your feet. You're there and so forth. And so I was wondering if you'd already had your AI.
Lynn, that's been a problem from the beginning. Teresa trying to slow me down so that I could be more orderly, and I am aware of it. I'm at least starting to understand what some of my questions are, but yeah.
Yeah, it's looking like you have a natural tendency to just zoom right to the site. And while that's fantastically good for remote viewing, like I say, down the line, you want to have that protection in place to keep you from getting hurt when you do.
Yes. I'm reading some good books that are kind of slowing me down to understand the depth of the process. And I do have the awareness coming, but something like the AI, I don't know, Lynn.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need some serious help with that part, I think.
You've got it. Just ask, But like I say, one of the things that I find so fascinating about this science is that even the nuances have nuances which have nuances of their own. And, nobody learns this thoroughly in a very quick way. I mean, this is every bit as much a science as any other science you would take up.
Yes.
She did go off on a little bit of a castle building thing.
I did.
I'm not too sure exactly where it started, so I don't think it's gonna. The fate of the nations isn't going to necessarily.
Well, it's back to my naming and guessing. I mean, I thought the substance was sand, and so I just went with the Lawrence of Arabia. Sorry,
you gotta stop thinking. You gotta keep writing and stop thinking.
I know.
Did you write sand in there somewhere?
No.
I didn't think so. I didn't see it.
Nope.
And Sandy, yeah.
Well, I talked about
Sandy.
wavy
Yes,
and yeah.
But that came after grainy.
Well, and my sketch is very, wavy, sandy.
Yeah. Yeah. This tendency you have of doing that puts you right down there with the rest of us. So don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's horse camels.
If it's any comfort, after all these years, I still do it too. We all do.
We do have a large, rough mechanical vehicle there. Go forward, stop, get out, check load.
Don't be nice to me, Teresa.
That's fact. There's a bus. There's a bus right there. I'm pointing at it. You can't see me. I'm pointing at the bus.
Okay. And I'm sure there's a man there smoking some Camels.
Yeah, probably. Well, actually,
The buses on this stop at the end,
Mm-hmm.
at each end, and unload the people,
Mm-hmm.
and then they drive to the other end, and
Pick 'em up.
people walk through here and get on the bus.
Okay.
And I know in the States we put sand on snow, but I can't, I even actually looked to see if there was anything here that looked sandy, and I'm not seeing it, but, you know, so I'm not being nice to you.
Okay.
Okay. I would never want to, you know, be accused of that.
Not tonight.
Anything but that. Now, stretching bodies cramped after you've been on a bus, I think that's fair. Looking vigilantly around all directions.
I think these are good perceptions.
Yeah.
I realized, you know, I went to naming and guessing. I went back to my nouns. This was, I don't know, not.
Yeah, Teresa, go back to the top of the page you're on there. Okay, when I touch the biological, ideogram, I'm sorry. Never mind.
Then her hand went nuts. She does this.
I thought she had touched the biological, and I was going to say, there's your AI. Yeah, when she touched the biological ideogram, so.
But there's a physical reaction on her part. Her hand started signing. She's got gentle, and she described it for us. Gentle fist, thumb up on top, thumb to indicate, or something, knuckle. So she's describing her own hand motion.
That's good.
So she has these physical reactions to what's going on at the site.
I have a lot to learn.
Let me see if that's Richie. Richie, I swear, I'm not going to touch you. I touched your name, and I keep trying to put you as a panelist, which is what I do with everybody, so you can have a mic, and then you disappear. So I'm afraid to do a darn thing. Can you text? Just a second. Richie, can you text? Can you hear me? I keep losing you. And you're up over in Ireland, and so for heaven's sake. By the way, timed, bound, and duty. If you're on a tour bus, yeah, they do pay attention to time. Learning and guiding, very nice. I'm not being nice to you.
This is Japan, and from what I've seen so far in the session, there seems to be quite a few references to Japanese culture as well.
Would you like to expand upon that?
Well, just like the thing a couple of pages back, you know, the timed thing and all that, they are very organized people. And the bus unloads at a certain point, you have a certain time, and you get back to the bus. And you get back to the bus on time. And in many ways, they're more organized than the Germans ever could be.
Highly trained, service-oriented. Historian-centered ones are walking a fine line. Neither group wants them, but understands the documenting importance. They're devastated by forever lost articles of great value. Should have been avoided. You know, these guys should have been having a conversation about, you know, if they're friends or something.
Well, yeah, but I think this is castle building here.
Oh, all right, already.
Thank you, Lynn.
I'm getting a little nostalgic there.
I wondered how long you were going to let her go. I liked it. Oh.
Can I keep crystal clean? The snow looks pretty clean to me.
Okay.
Uh-huh. AI, it's up ahead and high up. I am interested in moving closer. Wavy sand. Okay. We're almost done.
Except for I said heat like a furnace. So I was feeling heat, so light like whiteout. I'll keep light like a whiteout.
You betcha, yeah.
I wasn't going to say anything because heaven knows, you know. I wouldn't want to be accused of being too nice to you.
Strange stone protruding from vast sandy land. North Japan is mountains made up of volcanic ash. And I mean, the entire thing of Japan is volcanic, and it actually figures into their crops. It figures into everything. And I mean, they plant cucumbers, and the cucumbers grow to 10 feet long because it just burrows down through the ash, and that's the land you live on. And so, strange stone. The mountains in Japan are not made out of mountains, are not made out of the same stone that you would find in Europe or in the States or whatever. So I would go with this one. That's a good one.
Good.
Now coming out of the sand, maybe not.
She's in church again. That's the purpose of the place.
Yeah.
She spends a lot of time on her knees, all I have to say.
Nothing wrong with crawling.
I like that. Been there, been there. All right. Well, Lynn just taught me about the volcanic stuff. Very old stone structure situated on a rocky formation. I don't know what you thought that was, but
Yeah, for me, a rock hunter, it was kind of a boring time.
oh, motion was of a motorized caravan traveling in a time-oriented fashion. Vote, consensus vote, in or out. That's a yes.
That's a yes.
Okay. Old Holy Reserve clinging to simple tradition, young middle-aged male taking a stand ready to fight all outsiders.
Stories. No.
Well, actually, probably caused by the story, but it's one of those where, I mean, tradition is everything, and this reflects very strongly on the Japanese culture. Old Holy Reserve, you know, clinging to simple tradition, young middle-aged male taking a stand. This is all just perfect descriptions of Japanese culture. Now that's probably waffling, part waffling, probably not, but it's there.
Well, you have a whole group of Japanese folks, so, you know, far be it from me to say that it could be possible. Somebody there might be feeling that.
Well, I have a lot to think about, and I really appreciated seeing Richie's, and is it Aveline? Hers was immaculate and amazing, so I'm very excited to see theirs tonight. So thank you to them, and Lynn, thank you. I will be studying up and learning about distancing myself from my perceptions and protection.
Well, let me be picky here.
Okay.
You don't want to distance yourself from the perceptions. You want to protect yourself from some of them.
Okay.
To be able to protect yourself. And it's, you don't want to run from a bear. You want to learn how to fight a bear and win. So, you know, never never get rid of the perceptions or run away from them.
Right.
But you do want to get into the habit of distinguishing, is that the target or is that me? Because like when you get into, like I say, when you get into medical apps and somebody's really hurting, you don't want to feel the pain.
Right. Yeah, I understand that. So, no, this is very good tonight. Thank you.
Good session.
One thing, it is a good session.
Thank you.
One thing, this last sentence you've got written here as a sentence in your structure or in your summary. The water was mostly in tanks and in containers for personal use. Now, how many of you, in this day and age, how many people take a bottle of water with them when they're going someplace? So if you were to, write water was in containers, personal use, this works too, but tanks maybe not so much, but I've not seen how the Japanese sell bottled water. But anyway, I wouldn't throw that out as or minimize it, because just write it down, and it could very well be there. So anyway, you did have a good session.
Well, thanks, but wouldn't I have said there's water all around because of the schnee? Come on.
Well, when you're in the sandy desert, you gotta have water. So.
Yeah,
but
thank you.
That snow that's right beside them walking along, that's pretty hard packed. I mean, you're not going to grab a handful of snow and eat it.
Mm. Well, thank you, and I will work hard.
Let's face it. Out of all the sites in the world, and all the times, and all the events, you landed and described something that's grainy and cold and high up. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, there was definite target contact here.
So just because you weren't in Arabia, look at those perceptions, and when you think about it, how many of them are there? Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Richie, while you're here, bring your session back up. Richie, I am going to change Michelle to an attendee. I'm trying to. And I should be able to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and me. So I am also going to switch Aveline to an attendee. And that gives me an open mic. Richie, if you want me to risk giving you a mic, I will, or maybe I still have, there's your, nope, that's the M&Ms. Anyway, I can find your summary again. Richie, it was a good session, and do you want to say anything about it? Just held my breath. Well, for whatever reason, It is just not working with Richie's software tonight. So there is a text area if you want to type something. There you go. Hopefully he can see that. I don't know what's going on. And now he's not there again. Doggone it. All right. Let's see. Where's Ron? Hey, Ron. Do you want me to show your comment session or your straight session? Because I can do either one.
Probably the comment.
All righty. Here we go. Minimize Richie. All right, here's Ron's, and he is a basic student, still learning structure and learning how to do the set-aside mantra. He's almost got it. And he just came down, and we started on basic here just a couple of weeks ago. Anytime you want to jump in, Lynn, on his field.
Would you go back to the set aside for a minute?
Go ahead.
Okay. He says, I will set aside, and you've got in your note, make it present tense. But on the set aside, all of this, the phone may ring, that's okay. I can use the practice taking breaks and so on. For now, I'm not worrying about the phone ringing. For now, I'm setting aside the phone ringing. All of that except phone ringing, that last part, is usually done just mentally without writing it down. And so you say set aside, you go through all of this mentally, and then at the end, you tie the conscious and subconscious together by saying phone ringing, or even just phone, And so you don't need to write all this down here. I'm sure you've gone over that with him, but
yes.
Yeah, all of that is done mentally, and it's not just a mantra. You go over it mentally and you work it out to where, hey, I'm not worrying about the phone ringing now. I'm really honestly not. So for now, and you actually go through it. You don't just say this as a mantra. You actually work out. You come to terms with the fact that the phone may ring. And if it does, hey, I'll take a break. Give them practice, And so I'm not worrying about it. And then you just write down phone or phone ringing.
Right. So under POCD, you write phone ringing, and under set aside, you write phone ringing. You don't have to write out all the
you don't have to write all that stuff. Yeah.
But he's not saying it properly, so that's why I typed it.
Yeah, and I'm glad he did that. I'm glad he wrote it out like that, because you don't want to make it future tense. You make it present tense, like you commented there. But the thing is, you do work it out to where you are no longer worrying about the phone ringing before you ever put down set aside phone. That's very important.
On his field, part of his IABs, we're working on that. Like, it felt like air. And that's why I typed in, I asked him back, what does air feel like with your finger if you touch it?
Yeah, or you could have put airy feel, something like that, yeah.
Okay, and then he's learning structure, so he thought he was in phase 3, but I explained what phase 1 is, which is your IAB, your gestalts, and your ideograms, and your coordinates. And then phase 2 Look at this. He got ozone-like smell with diesel fumes from a bus.
That's great. Instead of
I
saying
thought so.
instead of saying ozone, it said ozone-like smell. Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, they don't really have the air pollution laws like we have. And you get behind one of these buses, nobody tailgates one of these buses. I can promise you that.
And I have a little spacing conversation going here. No line above the session that you're on. Or anyway, he knows what I meant. And he's already getting, starting to get some dimensionals and stuff scattered
Yeah,
throughout here.
I have a question about the word uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Here again, does that mean somebody at the site is uncomfortable, which would put it over on the left side? Or does it mean that he is suddenly uncomfortable, which would put it over on the right side? And here again, that seems like a minor distinction, but it trains you to separate yourself from the target and keep that little protection in between.
Good structure. Coming into down through phase 2 and exploring his gestalts. And I wondered if here, I mean, he's just like 2 weeks into this. So he's getting all these dimensionals, including high. And so I asked him something about if it could be his AI in here, just to learn to start to recognize them, because sometimes they'll knock you over and sometimes they're very, very subtle.
Yeah, and there's another one. Is somebody at the site dizzy, or are you dizzy?
Mm-hmm.
And by putting it in a different column on a different side of the page, it gets you into the practice of protecting yourself and keeping yourself separate from the target. That could be brick-like, hard as a brick, brisk, or brick.
Brisk. Oh, no, he's got brisk.
Brick.
Crisp
Okay.
and brisk. Yep.
Never mind.
Okay. And then transparent and bubble-like. Round, distant sounds, and feels big.
These are great.
Yeah. Echo sounds, hollow sounds, anxiety. Whose anxiety?
Yeah. By the way, this is pure waffling, okay? But with the rounded yurt shape and all that, and he's got the dome shape and all, this is a mountaintop. Okay. And and so if you were looking at this from a distance, you'd see a mountaintop.
Yeah. And
But
he's got
like I say,
transparent
that's
and
waffling.
bubble-like. So I'm thinking it's the bus windshield, but how far be it for me to actually say that out loud.
I'm sorry, what? I didn't hear you.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't say, oh, there you go. That's got to be. Get myself in all kinds of trouble. And the organic, there's some peacefulness going on. And there's movement, green and yellow colors, few, tall, short, bitter taste. AI feels familiar. And then he thought he was moving into phase 4. I'm explaining he's moving into phase 3. And we've got some sketching going on. And labels, A and B. And something he says is used for training.
Okay, this is total waffling too, okay?
Mhm.
The Japanese Self-Defense Forces.
He means he's waffling, not you, Ron.
Yeah, this is me waffling. The Japanese Self-Defense Forces are extremely active during the winter. They go out and they will get on skis, cross-country skis, with their full backpacks, their weapons and everything else, and do a 40-mile ski thing, you know. And so could be used for training, don't know. Like I say, that's total waffling.
And possibility of high voltage and dangerous condition giving feeling of being uncomfortable. Man-made has aspects of hard, dark, long, across, round, and up. The open has aspects of large, vast, thin, transparent, and bubble-like. Feeling of cool, crisp, and brisk. There's a feeling of big.
Good sight contact.
Yep. Land has aspects of hard, flat, across, appear to be gray, black, white aspects. Dusty smell and a dry taste seem present, along with sounds of hollow and echoing. A feeling of anxiety seems present. Organic seems present and have aspect of tall, short, few, and movement. Green, yellow, bitter taste, cool, giving, and peaceful feeling. All right, 8.
That's a good session.
It is for somebody who only came down a couple weeks ago and started practicing.
Yeah, would you go back to the sketch?
Uh-huh.
When you were here, did you see the things from Jean-Luc? Jean-Luc sent me all of the targets that he ever did from the first day of basic all the way, you know, through several years. He does this kind of stage 3, where instead of being a pictogram, it's an arrangement of ideograms, and this is very effective. I've seen very few people who do this, and yet it's a very effective method of instead of making a sketch, which is an ideogram, they just start using symbolic ideograms, symbols, and it's something that you'll see very rarely. But this is one way that phase 3 sketches are done by some people. And as a teacher, as an analyst, when you see something like this, go with it because it works.
When you said Jean-Luc, I thought maybe Picard had been at your house, and I'm like, no, I missed that. Who got to go for that?
This is the Jean-Luc who spent something like 7 or 8 months in the States, going to all the different courses and everything else. And really, Lynn, I'm just a clerk in a tourist office. You know, I kept saying, "Come on, if the Secret Service over in France wants training, I'll give them training. You don't have to do this." No, honestly, Lynn, I'm just a clerk in an office. Yeah, sure.
Nice session, Ron. Do you have any comments?
Well, I've been beating myself up for 4 days now.
Why?
No need to do that. You're doing well.
Well, when I got the picture back of the M&Ms, I thought that was the target.
Oh, no. M&Ms meant you did a good job.
Well, I thought it meant that I really messed up, so I, wa-
No.
I wasn't even crawling, so I went back to just laying on my stomach and started all over again.
Oh no. All right. What do we do to resuscitate him now?
Well, I've been living in the manual for the last 4 days, so
Oh,
and I've set
well,
up a
okay.
place, and I've set up a place in the basement just like Ingo did. I figured maybe that would help.
I had a group training one time, and it was an Indian pueblo, and the target was the outdoor oven, the big clay oven. And so in the feedback, I drew an arrow specifically to the oven with a note, "This is your target." And I think we had 9 viewers. 6 of them got an arrow.
Oh, I guess they did good with that part, didn't they?
Yeah, but
So,
it shows that it shows the principle, and in fact, in his talk, I just went blank. Anyway, beginning viewers will tend to view their feedback rather than the target, and it's just a natural thing, and it's something that goes away very quickly. But it's been noted that you can mess a viewer up by showing a beginning viewer. You can mess them up by showing them the wrong feedback. A more experienced viewer, that doesn't happen. And so one of the ways we used to judge where a person was in their remote viewing growth is by every now and then slipping them some bad feedback and seeing if they viewed the feedback rather than the target. And of course, when we did, we always then said, "No, this is not your target. Sorry about that. Here's your real target," and judge them against the real target. But it was sort of a way we had to judge the milestone as to where they were. So if you had described any M&Ms in here, don't worry about it.
no, that was my present to you, that you had done a good job. So, now that you are not, hopefully, totally in shock, what do you think of your session? How do you think you did?
I think I did better than I thought I did.
Well, thank God.
At least I'm not laying on my stomach anymore.
Oh, no.
So,
Okay.
I just got nothing to do but learn. Just keep learning.
Yeah, well, you did a fine job with this one.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You can live through your teacher, I guess. Your teacher abusing you, maybe you'll be all right.
Well, tonight I'll be able to read a chapter of something other than the manual.
Oh, no.
Usually I read 3 books a week, and I read a couple during the day, and then I have one that I read at night before I go to bed. And all I've been doing is living in this manual.
See, he's gone to bragging now. Takes me about a year to read a book.
He, among other things, he kept an entire steel mill functioning. He was one of the, I won't call him maintenance guys. That's not what he did. But he knows everything. Cranes and conveyors and floors and walls and stairs, and you two would have a fine time lunching. I'd just be quiet and listen to you.
I'm always very impressed by the enlisted man syndrome rather than the officer syndrome. The enlisted man who keeps everything working and the officer who takes credit for it.
I know what that feels like.
Yeah, so he will have that manual down verbatim. I have absolutely no doubt.
Yes, I will.
All right. Nice job, and so sorry I have had you on your stomach evidently for 4 days. I don't usually tell you to drop and give me 1,000.
Well, that's what they ask of me. That's what I have to do.
Oh, I will never ask that of you.
I figured if I missed it by that much or something I've missed, and I had to go back to the beginning, start all over.
Oh no. Okay. Okay. Travis. Now, Travis is a person who gets a lot of information in dreams, and so he is just now beginning to hang out with us on Wednesdays and see if we can learn something about remote viewing and see if it somehow helps him in, you know, just improving or anything. Travis, I don't have to speak for you, so if you want to take the mute off your mic and jump in here and talk, that's fine. I'm just explaining to Lynn that you've had absolutely no formal training at all, and this is what you got in what you call your waking state. Is that correct?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Why don't you go ahead and you talk, okay?
Right. I've been trying to do this in the waking state. What I did was kind of, for the shapes, I did automatic writing, where I just let the pencil do the writing, and then I tried to hover over them using dowsing to come up with the description on the left. On the right is my assumptions based upon the description and the shapes, and my assumptions were based on the right. I don't know if that's the way you guys do it.
How do you start out, Travis? Like, what's your jumping off point or kickstart point? Or for CRV training, you know, we take coordinates and get gestalts. So,
What's a gestalt?
That's it's a concept. Like we have the I-ness of something, and the major gestalts are water, land, air, natural, biological, motion, and the I-ness of something would be something that's related to water or related to motion. Go
Yeah,
ahead,
in other words, you have landiness, wateriness, eness rather than I-ness, but you know, landiness, wateriness. I don't know what this target is, but there is a man-madiness to it, something like that. It's the overall generic feel of the target, and you know, the actual target might be, in this case, the bus, and yet what you would get is, oh, there's an outdooriness to this, and so you just sort of get those major concepts, and that gives you a starting place. But you know, you're starting from another place, and so I think it's interesting to find out where you're starting from. Never believe that the one way is the only way, and so just because CRV does it with Gestalt starting out, it's just sort of a crutch to give us something to cue with and say, oh, the man-madiness, well, what do I know about it, you know? And so don't ever accept anybody saying that there's only one way to do it.
And I think this is his second
I
target.
use the drawing.
Oh, you use the drawing there?
I try to use the drawing as the starting off points for myself. When I do when I go dowsing, I'll start with a dowsing point, and then I'll go from there, or how close to this point is the next point. And I try to use the drawings as a dowsing point Um, the three lines just appeared, and then I hovered over that, and that gave me the impressions. And then there was this shape and this shape, and they gave me different impressions. I tried to analyze them on the right. I've never used this Gestalt method.
Yeah, actually, what we start with is a line. You know, we give the coordinates and make a line, and that's called an ideogram because it contains all the concepts in it, and then we try to break out those gestalts. But basically, you're doing the same thing. You're getting a rough sketch, and then you're hovering over that, finding out what impressions come, and so basically, it's not that much different a process.
Right. I was wondering if that's exactly what he's doing, and you know, I can give you a couple of email pointers like Lynn. I agree with Lynn. I mean, obviously he's the knowledgeable one, but like you're getting information in a different way, and this way you're trying to learn to write it down and document it, and maybe probe and get more detail. So if you would touch, like I went and spent a day with Joe McMonagle, and there was just a whole bunch of people who'd never done this before, and at a little seminar, and he said, you know, what flash did you get just right then? So maybe your sketches here were your version of that, I'm not sure, but you could touch each of those and write down perceptions that you get from them, and it's just as Lynn said, we have ideograms, but sketches are also ideograms that you can probe for perception.
Yeah, and we have found that the actual physical touch, see that first sketch, something in your subconscious mind made you do that particular sketch. And what happens is the subconscious mind makes the body do something, and then the conscious mind, you go say, what in the world? What just happened? What? But we have found that if you hover over them, you can get impressions, but also you can get impressions by actually touching that sketch, because it is the subconscious mind's telling you something. And so you're using your body as sort of a translator between the subconscious and subconscious and conscious minds. So on the next target, hover over it just like you're doing, because you're wanting to continue training your conscious and subconscious to work together. But just a couple of times, just try touching that sketch and paying attention to see if you get any other colors, shapes, textures, words, anything like that, perceptions. Give it a try and see what happens.
And don't try to analyze it over on the right, because you may name something and it'd be totally wrong, because that's what your conscious mind wants to do. You should write it down. These are all nouns over here, and so that's good. Just don't feed into trying to think what it is. Just write down what comes in. But you're right. We do teach nouns go on the right when you're beginning. Later on, you get to work with nouns. But nouns are boxes that your conscious mind sticks you in, because it's like they have to be the box and name what's going on.
Yeah, you're doing a lot of the things naturally that, shoot, it took us years and years to learn. Your descriptors are on the left side, your sketches there in the middle, and you're sticking your nouns over to the right side and all. And it took us years to learn that that's the proper way to do it. So you're doing this naturally, and I'm glad to see that.
Would you like to ask us any questions or anything? I mean, it's this, it's all practice, and we talk about it, and you move forward from there. But if you want to ask anything, please go ahead.
Right.
And as you can see from a couple of the other sessions, what we do, but like we said, it's not the only way. We write down the coordinates, and then we get an ideogram, which is the little squiggly line. And then we touch that. If you would feel comfortable trying that, I can send you a couple of sessions to look at that other people have done. Or if you feel comfortable getting a sketch and then touching it and coming over on the left and writing your perceptions, that'll work too. Just if you get a noun, write it on the right side and try to space them out. So if later on you want to look at something and figure out where it came in the line, that way you're always moving down the page. Yeah, you're going to waste some paper. I'm sorry, what?
Would you like us to say, well, I mean, it's all practice, and we talked about it, and you move forward from there.
Oh boy, bad feedback. Lots of feedback. Oh my. So just a little bit slower on everything I just said going through there. I'll let your mic and headset catch up. I can switch back to whiteboard. But as I was saying, what you could do, if you wanted to, I mean, yes, you can do a sketch. And so, I'm just going to draw a triangle. So you can get your sketch the way you just did, and you can touch it and come down over here and write your perception. Touch it, come down over here, touch it, come down over here. And then if you get a noun or something that you think, as you were already writing, come over here, but moving down the page. And then come back over here and touch it and write your perception. You can do that. Or we have what we were telling you about the Gestalt, such as this is an ideogram. So the Gestalt is land, and your body has a kinetic response to that. And we just have little symbols. So this is my ideogram for land. Water is another one. And I know this is simplistic, but this is my ideogram for water. My ideogram for motion. You gotta try writing with this little stylus here. That's my motion.
I think it's neat though that his natural talent is really showing through there. I mean, he's got this ability.
And so you can do it that way, or if you want to start sorting out what you're getting, this is another way to do it. And like people are, sorry, that's a B, biological. You try writing with this thing. And that's my thing for people. So what we do is go get our coordinates, get your pen moving, 1305, year, month, date. We write that, and then we get our, we put our initials. You don't have to do that. And that just gets your pen moving, and it also is a way to remember what this target is. So we would write those, and then your pen just goes nuts and it does its own thing. You do that. And so that's my, a little big, that's my, I'm going to, for you, say that's my ideogram for biological. So that's, I'm trying to explain to you what we're talking about, so maybe you're not so lost trying to follow our conversation. So when we talk about gestalts and ideograms, that's what we mean. But as Lynn said, your natural talent, you're already doing this, and you're making progress. As far as if you weren't doing this a month ago, you've learned something already, and your subconscious is already working on it. So you can do it whichever way you want, but like I said, I was trying to explain this so you have some idea what we're talking about. You don't have to do it that way.
Yeah, the main thing is just keep doing it, because that ability is there, and you want to train that ability to come out and actually do some good in the world.
I like that. Anything else you want to ask or anything? Well, oh, sorry, he typed in. Losing sound. Please send me some sessions with notes so I can compare. Okay. I can do that. I probably have one or two hanging around here. And I think that is all I have. Let me, it made everybody go away here. Let me see if I have any other sessions in my Dropbox. I don't think so. I think that's everybody.
Hey, Marcos, how you doing?
Yeah, hey there. This is Iceland. Warm greetings.
Yeah, I was wondering if y'all have snow like this, like in this feedback.
Yeah, there's plenty in the glaciers, and even if I look outside my window, it's in the mountains locally. So, yeah.
Anybody have any general questions that they'd like to ask? We have a couple minutes left. Travis, I've been using Lynn's targets from his webpage to practice. Good. Questions, anybody? I feel like you should be making hot chocolate after looking at all that snow.
That's a good bunch of sessions.
Janine just said, my sub has a strange sense of humor. It gave me some like it hot and feeling groovy. Well, if nobody has any questions, I think we're probably going to need to call it a night. Thank you, everybody. I'll try and get this up on YouTube. And I have a couple more targets up already, but I need to get more. They're every 2 weeks on WebEx, and you can get there through my WebEx or through my website, Aesthetic Impact. And if you send in a session, send it to, I have to get this new address down, AIIS Practice RV at AOL.com. And that way it lands in the same email, and I'm not sorting out operational from practice from student stuff. Go ahead, Marco.
I was just thinking, Are we gonna do someday again, like outbounder session?
I don't have any planned, but
Okay.
you know, if you wanted to do that for the group, I'm sure you'd have people who'd be interested.
All right.
You gonna put that on the CRV list?
Yeah. Yeah.
Alrighty then.
Yeah. We need to pick up a date and stuff like that.
Hey, it's your schedule.
Great.
So we work with you.
Yeah. I wanted to ask Lynn, how's the book going? Are you finished with the book? Hello. Did you receive my question? No. Lynn's gone probably.
Unless we lost him.
Yeah.
We might have.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gone. Something happened. He lost his connection, or because he always says goodbye. So.
Okay. It's really late. I have to go to sleep. And,
yeah.
it was great to see you.
You too. I'm glad you could come. And hey, if you want to do outbounder stuff, please put a note on the CRV list, and we'll get the word out in Facebook and see who wants to work it. And I bet people love that stuff. So.
All right. Do you think we can do it as a WebEx, session?
Sure.
Or...
Yeah, you just let me know. I'll reserve a date.
Yeah.
And like I always do this every other Wednesday. As long as I know which Wednesday you're going to do an outbounder, that's how I'll post it. And obviously, I won't choose a target for that day.
Makes sense. Okay.
Okay.
So I will let you know. Or yeah.
Oh, he's back. Just a minute. He'll like to hear that.
Sorry, we just had a power outage.
Oopsie. What'd you do? Just like connect it using your palms or what?
Everything went blip.
No, I meant, did you reconnect? You just like held the CPU between your palms and fired it up, or what?
Oh yeah. You rub your hands together, cause static electricity.
In your case, it might. So.
No, it just popped out for a second, just long enough to cut the computer off.
Of course. Well, while you were out, Marco asked about doing outbounders, and we're going to do some outbounders in WebEx. Obviously, he's just going to get a date to me, and I won't choose a target, and we'll get it on the CRV list, maybe on Facebook. He's championing the project, so I'm not going to be in the driver's seat riding shotgun, telling him what to do. He gets to run with it. So
that's fantastic. Jim and Laurie went to Moscow, and I wanted them to do outbounders, and I keep asking people to do outbounders when they go anywhere or do anything, and nobody ever does it. So this is fantastic. I'm glad you're doing that, Marco.
All right, I will log off anyway. I'll try to find something interesting and for all kinds of students.
Excellent.
You're in Iceland. Everything is interesting.
All right. Guess you'll have to see that. I just wanted to ask, how's the book? Your second book going? Are you finished?
If I could quit revising everything I write 20 or 30 times, it would be easier.
Yeah.
Travis, did you have a question? Okay. All right, we're going to wrap this up, and you're welcome, everybody. Thank you for sending your sessions, because without you, we have nothing to talk about and nothing to learn from until we get some hands-on stuff. So, again, we will see all of you in a couple of weeks, and take care, and good night, Gracie.
Good night, Maribeth.
Night, Down Boy.
Teresa, I wanted to thank you and Lynn for your time and expertise tonight, and I wanted to thank all the other viewers for their great sessions.
This is fun for us.
Well, it's a lot
You're
more,
welcome.
a lot more fun for me tonight now that I know that I was a little closer than what I thought it was.
Good, yeah. Yeah, this is really helpful to us to see that, you know, we're helping people. And I hope we're helping people. And to see the work that y'all are doing and the speed that y'all are getting it. Listen, some of y'all are getting in 2 or 3 weeks what it took us months to get in the military unit. And, you know, I think we've reached the 100th monkey. And I think us monkeys are about to take over the zoo here. I hope so.
That'd be nice. All right. Good night, everybody. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thanks.
Thank you.